crime of murder is not unusual in this country, and nowhere is that more apparent than in Detroit.
Detroit has had the unhappy distinction of being America's youth homicide capital.
More people under age 21 in Detroit have been shot in the first 10 months of 1986 than in all of 1985.
Nearly 20 years after the historic riots of 1967, Detroit was still reeling from a dramatic decline. Wealthy residents had left, factories had shut down. Crime and poverty became the daily reality of a city that was once a jewel of America. But while some found darkness through gunfire, others aimed for the light with a basketball.
Chris Webber can do everything. He has college coaches around the country drooling.
Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year. It seems Chris Webber is everyone's Player of the Year. And why not? At 6'10", 235 pounds, Chris can do it all.
Born into a struggling family in Detroit, Chris Webber made a name for himself from an early age. Not since Magic Johnson had Michigan seen such a sensation. Tall, agile, skilled, athletic. What flaw could be found in Chris Webber? In 1991, he earned the title of the state's best player. The physical talent was undeniable, but what about his mindset?
I think every year I've always succumbed to the pressure, and I've always felt bad or guilty because I didn't want to. I was just being overworked, I think, by a lot of things, not just basketball, but by the media or by just people.
You better have God in your life. You better have great people in your life because you can tend to think it's about you. You're still naive. You think that people's love is sincere. You don't know the shenanigans that go on just amongst people.
Webber received scholarship offers by the dozen. But where would this basketball prodigy go?
Go ahead and announce it right now if you want.
I'm going, no, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know why it's so big, you know, I just went to school. But next year, I'll be a Michigan Wolverine.
Crowned champions in 1989, the Michigan Wolverines experienced a hangover-like season the following year. By 1991, the team, coached by Steve Fisher, was betting on an extraordinary recruitment class. One of the most legendary teams in basketball history was about to be born.
We made a bond to each other that we were going to play high school ball together, we're going to play college ball together, we're going to play NBA ball together. You know, we're just going to ride this dream until there's none left.
We were 13 or 14 when we made this pact, just to be friends forever, to always have each other's back no matter what's going on.
How do you think about each other as far as individual players and as friends?
It's my boy, it's my man.
Well, that does it.
Well, Jalen and I played basketball 12 years old. Best friends, promised each other to go to the same high school.
Like Webber, Jalen Rose grew up in the rough neighborhoods of Detroit. He was the biological son of Jimmy Walker, a former #1 draft pick and two-time All-Star whom he never met.
And growing up, like you said, in Detroit, unfortunately, it seemed like it was commonplace for there to be a single parent in the home, so I didn't feel like I was missing anything.
In 1991, Rose joined the Michigan Wolverines alongside his childhood friend Chris Webber. That same summer, the team landed another Midwest star, Juwan Howard. A 6'9" power forward, Howard was one of the most sought-after prospects in the country. Adding to this roster were two Texans, Jimmy King and Ray Jackson. Within months, Michigan had assembled one of the greatest recruiting classes in college basketball history. But no one could have anticipated the storm that was about to shake the basketball world.
The first day the Fab Five stepped on the University of Michigan campus, that was the start of the revolution.
All 5 freshmen think they're going to start, but it won't happen.
How so? Steve Fisher quickly realized that these 5 freshmen were starting caliber players. Let's put this into context. At the time, freshmen usually spent multiple seasons in college before heading to the NBA. Starting 5 first-year players was revolutionary. And speaking of the 90s, another revolution was underway.
All around us, and so compelling you never miss the fact there's no melody, is a music that is all beat, strong beat, and talk. It's rap music, and it sounds like this.
Now, by the 90s, hip-hop was no longer confined to block parties, basements, and parks like this. It became mainstream.
The Michigan Young Guns left their mark. Gone were the tiny John Stockton-style shorts, replaced by baggy ones inspired by rap music videos. And, as a peak act of rebellion, black socks.
I remember being one of the most hated athletes. Now Jalen is a common name. Huaraches were a shoe that we popularized. We popularized black socks. They didn't even sell black socks at the mall. Imagine if we had the trademark for long shorts.
At the time, they didn't even have 5 pairs of Nike black socks at the entire mall. So actually, a lot of people don't know this. The first game we played together, a couple of us had on black Nike socks. A couple of us had on just plain black socks.
Yep, church socks.
Dress socks.
Perhaps more than any NBA team, the Fab Five became a cultural phenomenon. On the court and off, their faces were everywhere.
You know,
You gonna get pumped.
What up, Detroit? What's up, Detroit? Hey, I know I need a fade, but you know how we do it.
Can't get a haircut every day.
Can't get a fade every day.
Back spot for Wade Jackson, dangerous pass. Weber underneath. Plays it up with Eric Johnson. For Michigan. That's down the lane. Left side, Weber goes up, slams it through. Body's flying. Alley-oop to King. He'll slam it through. Jimmy King. Weber looking for the alley-oop. Gets it. Gets loose from Lander. Slams it through. Weber with 18.
Sort of like a Beatles following. There was just crowds of people all the time around the buses, in the lobbies of the hotel. People would sneak up fire escalators to get to the floor of the hotel room that we were staying on.
Coming up next on CBS Sports, the NCAA Basketball Championship.
You know, while the Final Four is a familiar place for Duke, Michigan starts 4 19-year-olds and 1 18-year-old who are only in their second semester of college.
See all the fans and things like that, but it's really exciting. It's a dream come true.
Barely out of high school, the Michigan freshmen achieved the impossible. They made it to the NCAA Finals in front of 34 million viewers. At halftime, the unthinkable happened. Against the experienced Duke team of Grant Hill and Christian Laettner, the Fab Five were ahead by 1 point. But slowly, the Wolverines' youth began to show. The second half was a total disaster. This historic season ended with a 20-point defeat.
Man, get those motherfucking cameras on my face if you don't want to hear some damn swearing on motherfucking TV.
We're not satisfied with, getting here and losing. We want to win. I mean, even though we're happy we got here, we still want the victory.
Hopefully we have the same opportunity next year and we'll make a difference.
And I don't want to wait 3 years. I don't want to wait till next year. I wanted it today. I'm not satisfied.
Success breeds success, but you have to make sure that you work hard to get better in order to move from where you are. We accomplished a tremendous amount. Now people are going to be saying, show me that you can win it all.
I think this is one of the most overrated and most underachieving teams of all time. These are guys who come in and epitomize what is wrong with a lot of basketball players, and that...
Which is specifically, please?
They think they're better than they are.
With their provocative style, the Fab Five became the idols of youth and the enemies of the establishment. But this Michigan team wasn't just flash. They were nearly unstoppable on the court. On April 5th, 1993, the Fab Five returned to the NCAA Finals. Once again, excitement was high. Tens of millions of Americans tuned in. Their opponent, another North Carolina team, the Tar Heels, led by the legendary Dean Smith. Would this second chance be the charm for the Fab Five?
What everyone
most minutes tonight, their team will win the game. That's Weber Montrose.
Michigan trips.
That was just a smart play. George Lynch timed it perfectly.
At the other end, Montrose follows.
Oh, so tough.
Jalen Rose gives it up last minute. Weber underneath.
Pass.
The last 3 trips, 9 points. Weber driving, no contact, or no, got a 10-point lead down to 3. Williams can tie, and he does.
Both teams were as motivated as ever, and the match was neck and neck. With 20 seconds left, Michigan trailed by just 2 points. The Fab Five was on the brink of making history, but nothing went as planned. What followed was one of the most memorable sequences in basketball history. Chris Webber grabbed the rebound, but committed an obvious travel that everyone except the referees noticed. He approached the basket and found himself trapped by the aggressive Tar Heels defense. Panicked, he called for a timeout. The problem? Michigan had none left. According to the rules, this resulted in a technical foul, 2 free throws, and possession for the Tar Heels. The gap became insurmountable, and Michigan lost 77-71.
Was anyone telling you to call the timeout, or did you hear the call a timeout at that point? It seemed like you looked a little confused when you looked at the guys on the bench.
I don't remember.
Chris, not to belabor the point, but what was going through your mind when it happened?
It was 20 seconds left, and I started dribbling the ball. Went down by 2. Getting on our side of the court, I picked up my dribble. I called the timeout. That was, whatever I did, that's what was going through my head. And it probably cost our team the game.
I call it timeout. It's the worst moment of my life. It's lonely. I'm a mama's boy. I go home and get some mama's love. My mother is the most humble woman you would ever see, and she goes, "Look what I got, baby." And it was a license plate, and it said timeout. And I'm like, and he's like, yeah, whatever that means, whatever the devil meant for bad, God meant for good, and we're gonna do some great things. I don't know how I would have been able to frame those worst moments if I would have had people that were not strong emotionally and stable.
The timeout is now the infamous name for this moment etched into basketball's dark legend. By calling a timeout at such a crucial moment, Chris Webber committed arguably the biggest blunder in basketball history. But how do we understand it? Webber maintains to this day that teammates on the bench were asking him to call a timeout. In slow motion, you can see some teammates celebrating the timeout Webber called while others react in shock. A communication breakdown, perhaps? Regardless, this dramatic ending marked the conclusion of the Fab Five's legendary journey.
With the first pick in the 1993 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Chris Webber.
Devastated, Webber entered the NBA in 1993. Selected as the first overall pick in the draft, he went on to have a stellar career, but he never won a championship. Above all, his name remained forever tied to that ill-fated timeout in the NCAA Finals. In 1994, Juwan Howard and Jalen Rose also joined the NBA. Like Webber, they had solid NBA careers. Over the years, memories of the 1993 defeat faded somewhat. A media phenomenon of their generation, the Fab Five remained unforgettable, but controversy was never far away. In 2002, a major scandal erupted. Chris Webber was found guilty of receiving large sums of money illegally during his time at Michigan. As a result, the NCAA erased the Fab Five's records. The runner-up finishes in 1992 and 1993 are no longer officially recognized. In 2011, ESPN released a documentary about this iconic team. Chris Webber did not participate. Why does Jalen Rose have so many clips of himself? The story is romanticized as if everything revolves around him. Rose's response? One dude traveled then called timeout. One dude lied to the grand jury and hasn't apologized. One dude tried to circumvent the documentary to HBO. One dude ignored multiple requests from everyone involved after agreeing to participate. One dude is not in contact with the other 4. One dude has been doing a rebuttal doc for 4 years. One dude clearly is delusional and still in denial. In January 2024, the Fab Five reunited before a game for their alma mater. It was a sign that time had healed old wounds and peace had been found. Juwan Howard coached the Wolverines from 2019 to 2024. We loved them, we hated them, we saw them win and we saw them lose. Let's set aside Chris Webber's infamous blunder. They wanted to make basketball history like few before them. They might have never won a championship, but they definitely won our hearts.